Okay, let me get the paper we did that day. Seminar 20, 11th July. Field. Yes, I have. Okay, let's start now. So last class we started the paper and we discussed the first two questions. Yeah, and we'll start today from the third question. So let's start now. Actually, let me do in a random order. Or I'll go in third question itself is fine. Okay. So in the third question, they have mentioned there that identify the following as whether the following are data or information. Okay. Normally, when you have a given value, and if you want to categorize them as a data or information, the way is you have to go and check to obtain this answer, should you process something? Okay. Should you process something to obtain the answer? Right. If you don't need to process and you can obtain it directly, then it's data. But if you have to collect a collection of data and if you have to process it, then we can consider that as to be an information. So always the main difference between a data and information is that information are processed. So if you go to the values given here, the first one they have mentioned Pavitra and then a number called 89.75. Now, are these two values that to get these two number values, like should you collect some data and then process it and then find the answer? Yes or no? This name and this number, is that something that looks like a processed value? No. Okay. So therefore, as it is not any processed value, we can directly consider that as a data. Then second one, the NIC number. NIC number, National Identified Identity Card number, that's also a random data. You can directly find the value. But the third one, they mention here the tallest boy is Pial. Okay. Now, if you want to tell that Pial is the tallest boy, can you find that value without collecting any data? Can you find it? Nahi, you can't. Exactly. Okay, if you want to find the tallest boy, first of all, you have to get everyone's height. Like in a class, if there are like 20 students, you have to get all 20 students' height, you have to compare them, and after you compare them, only you can find that the tallest boy is PL. So that's the information. Because to find this answer, you have to collect some data and process them. Then the next one they have mentioned 13th of October 2023. Again, it's a random date. So you can consider that as a data. And the last one, a picture. So it's normal picture. There's nothing mentioned there. So that's also a data. Okay. So it's recording in YouTube. But you can consider something as information only if it is processed. So these are the answers for this question. In terms of marks, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We can put half marks each. One and a half. Next, select and write the correct word for the given blank using the given list. Okay. So in the question they have said their spelling mistake, it should be punch card, was introduced by whom? Right. Now, when you take computer generations, I think you did not on the record. It is recording in YouTube, Nuska. So NIC number is information, right? Using that we can know the person's date of birth. Using that we can know the person's date of birth. So if you're going to use using NIC number, if you're going to know the person's date of birth, then the date of birth obtained from NIC, this is the information. Okay. So NIC number is data. Using this data, you're going to find the information. Got it, Salma? Nuska is recording YouTube. Okay. Okay. Coming back to the main question. Now, when you take what you called, okay, Amar. When you take these computer generations, we learn different types of devices. Okay. During the evolution of computers. So before the first, tell me first of all, tell me what is the first computer that was made? What is the world's first computer? What is the first device we consider as the first computer? What is the full form, Amrin? Hmm. The world's first modern day computer. That means we are using computers today, right? So the computer that looked like that kind of a format, that was a analytical engine. So before analytical engine as well, we had certain devices. Correct. First, the world's first computer that we consider. Actually, first modern day computer. That means the computers we have nowadays, like that computer, if you take, it's the analytical engine. But before analytical engine, also we had devices. We don't consider them as computers. Indirectly, those are like calculators. Okay, that means earlier days and all, when a device can do calculations, they used to consider that device as a computer. That's what happened. Okay, yes, Sohaib. So what do you call before analytical engine? There were some other devices as well. So the world's first calculator we consider as abacus, and abacus does not have anything electronical. It's completely a mechanical device. Okay. Then after abacus, there was a device called adding machine that was introduced. This was also completely mechanical only. That means there is nothing electronical here. Okay, everything is done by your hand and hand movements only. We had the adding machine. This was a device that we can perform additions using addition and subtraction. Then again with the evolution, they created a machine called the what do you call the step reckoner. I'm not sure of my spellings, whether it's C or CK. I think it's K, step reckoner. I'm not sure of the spellings, but yeah, they created a machine called step reckoner. So using the step reckoner, we were able to perform, apart from addition and subtraction, we were able to perform multiplications and divisions as well. Okay. But again, none of these devices were electronical. And with evolution, Charles Babbage, he created a machine called as the analytical engine. And this analytical engine was a device that worked using current. So it was the first electronic device. So we consider this as the first computer. Okay. Now in this computer, apart from you are able to input and output data, apart from the fact that you can input, process and output, there was one more feature that was very famous or that was very special in this computer. That is, this computer was able to store data. Exactly. Where does the analytical engine store data on? Where is the data stored on? It's stored on a special type of card. What is that card? And correct. It's stored on a special type of place called the punch card. Exactly. It is stored on a special type of place called the punch card. Now, this punch card was not something which Charles Babbage introduced. Charles Babbage was not the first person. He actually found this. He actually got inspired. this was actually an inspiration he got from a sewing machine. What is the name of that sewing machine? This punch card is actually a device that was inspired from a sewing machine, right? So what is the name of that sewing machine? Correct. So there was a fellow called Joseph Jacquard, and this Joseph Jacquard, he made a sewing machine called as a mechanical loom. So this mechanical loom is actually a sewing machine, and this mechanical loom had one thing special. That is, it was able to store design patterns, like like creating those saris or mats and all. You have these designs, right? We sew. So the sewn design, it can store those design patterns of materials, textile design patterns. It used to store on something called punch card, and this was something that was fascinating for Charles Babbage. He was like, wow, that's something interesting. Let's use that idea and let's create a computer. And that's how we made it. Yeah, it was using textile industry. So mechanical loom does not have anything connected to computing. It's completely a sewing machine. But the main reason why we learn about mechanical loom is mechanical loom had one special feature. It had something called punch card that was used to store designs. So that inspired Charles Babbage to create the storage for analytical engine. Got it, Amrit? Okay. So here punch cards are as introduced by whom? Punch card was introduced by Joseph Jacquard. It was introduced by Joseph Jacquard in the mechanical loop. So here the answer is Joseph Jacquard. The second question, dash is the device designed by Charles Babbage. So Charles Babbage designed the analytical engine. Adding machine was invented by Blaise Pascal. Some people also call it as Pascaline. Okay. Dash is the first program. Okay. For analytical engine, the analytical engine's program, it was designed by a lady programmer. Okay. So the first program is actually lady programmer. And her name was Madame Ada Augusta Lovelace. Okay. That's her name. How was it, Amar? Madame Ada Augusta Lovelace. So she was the person to first programmer. And she wrote the program for the analytical engine. Then the first mathematical machine, it was the abacus. Okay. But abacus was, had they given abacus as option here? Blaise Pascal, adding machine, Joseph Jacquard, analytical engine. Okay, they're not given here. The first the first device used to perform calculations was the abacus. Okay. But in abacus, not it was completely manual work. Adding machine also, it was manual work only. But what happened is, in an adding machine, there is a bit of there is a what do you call it's more mechanical than an abacus. So let me show how an adding machine looks like. Is it numbers? Interesting. Did she write or did she try to write? She actually wrote in the sense the way earlier they used to write programs are completely different. So adding machine was actually a mechanical device. It was a device, like you can rotate this whole thing and you can perform calculations. So therefore, as a proper device, we can consider adding machine. Okay, so first mathematical machine, it was adding machine. With a pen, right? Not with a pen. They used to write programs uh, in this one. What do you call the punch cards? Like they used to have tap it on the punch card. Not used currently, Rushta. Hmm. Okay, so if these answers you mention, you can put 1 mark here. Next, below statements is true or false. Okay, we are right with the below statement is true. How do they use it? They rotate this. So when you rotate this, there's like a, I did click on it. There's like a circle here. Now you rotate this circle. There's a small stick like a pen for that. So once you rotate this circle, you can see a number will appear in the top. See, there's 3, 3, 1, 2 kill the numbers, right? So you can rotate. These are like ones place, tens place, hundreds place. So after you set the number you want to add. So let's say you want to add 7. You go for the ones place and you rotate it 7 more steps front. Something like that. Not in real world use. I think you can find in some random places and like, people who collect old stuffs. Okay, next one. The cat machine used for three-dimensional images of body. Okay. Now, when you take machines to what you called machines to scan your body, we have two machines. One is a CT scan or as a CAT scan, and one is a MRI scan. Okay. In generally, to scan the 3D image of a body, the CT scan is used. And if you want to be not the whole body in general, but if you want a specific organ or something, then you can use MRI because MRI is more clearer than the CT. So both can be used for the body, but CT is like an X-ray kind of thing. MRI is a more clear image that you can see your nerves and all those stuffs. So generally for 3D image of the body, CT scan, yes, it's correct. EEG is used to monitor heartbeat. No, to monitor heartbeat, we had a different device. What was that device? Perfect. To monitor the heartbeat, no, Z cardiac screening machine is to see the heart movement. To heartbeat, it's the ECG machine. And EEG is used to scan something else, something which none of you all have, or majority of you all don't have. What is it? Not sure, Hannah, I have to check. And correct. It's the brain. Do you have a brain? Are you sure you have a brain? Okay, next. How are we talking then? You're not using your brains. Others are saying yes, so you're also saying yes. Just copying others say. Yeah, you're using a kidney and answering, no? Next. MRI machine is used to record the activities of the brain. No, to activities of the brain, we have the EEG. Just now we learned. So that's false. Now I don't copy others. Is it true? Let's see. Meteorological machine is analog signal. Okay, so basically you take this data transferring within the computer, like between or if you take within the computer, you have lots of hardwares, right? Lots of components. So between these components, when data is traveling, for example, let's say between the sensor to a CPU, from the CPU to the RAM, okay, like within the computer, when data are traveling, the data can be traveled in two forms. One is the data can be traveled in the forms of ones and zeros. So if the data is going to be traveling in the form of ones and zeros, we call that signal as digital signal. But the data transferring, if it's apart from ones and zeros, if it can also transfer something like numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, any random number, we call them as those signals as analog signals. So there are certain devices that can read and understand both digital as well as analog signals. So we call those devices as devices called hybrid computers. So there are three types of computers as what do you call digital computers, analog computers, and hybrid computers. So hybrid computers, it can understand both digital as well as analog signals, but digital computers can understand only digital signals. Analog computers can understand only analog computers. So if you're asking me what are some situations where analog signals are used. For example, let's say we have a electronic thermometer. Now, electronic thermometer, it has a sensor here and it has a device here. Now, this device is getting data from the sensor. So, the sensor, when it's transferring data, the sensor will transfer data in a varying value like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The value can go up and down. It's not a one and zero value. Okay. So, the value we get from a sensor, that data is coming in the form of analog signals. Okay, so likewise, if you take meteorological device, the device that we use to check wind speed, temperature, humidity, all those stuffs, that yes, it deals with analog signal. That's correct. Sorry. Uh, when I'm talking and writing, doom dam, But you called, yeah, so that's true. MICR machine is used to correct speedometers also analog signals. MICR machine is used to correct MCQs of exam papers. No. When you take scanners, there are different types of scanners we learn. Okay. The scanner that we use for normal purpose, like when you go for those printers and all those stuffs, they take photocopy, this type of scanner, right? That normal scanner we call as flatbed scanner. Okay, that normal scanner we call a flatbed scanner. Apart from that, if you go to, let's say, these Cargill, Kills, and supermarkets, in the cashier, they have a small scanner to scan the products. That's a barcode scanner. Then, apart from that, if you take these bank checks, in the bottom of bank check, there's a small code. Okay. So, to read those check only, bank checks, we have the MICR machine. It's called magnetic ink character recognition. Then apart from that, now if you look at this paper, paper is actually an image. It's not like a text. Like I can't copy the text from here. Okay. So there is a type of machine called the OCR machine. OCR machine, what it can do is OCR reader, what it can do is optical character recognition. Okay. So OCR reader, it can extract text from an image. So if there is image from that image, it can obtain the read the text. Okay. Then in terms of correcting MCQ papers, for that we have different scanner. What is it? It starts letter O. Perfect. That is called the OMR. So OMR scanner is used to scan the what do you call MCQ papers. What is the text is cursive or wavy? Still, it will be able to identify. So there are different types of OCR reader. The good quality ones, it can. How does it work? It stores millions of pictures. So it will compare the picture. It will like take each character as a separate picture. It will try to match the picture and see what is similar, and it creates a map. That's how the OCR works. Okay, so MCQ papers of OMR will take the answer sheet. It will see where and where you have marked the circle, and then it will cross check with the marking scheme, and it can mark your papers as well. Again, only MCQ. MCQ, not the whole thing. That we have the MCQ sheet. Only the MCQ sheet. Those answers it can mark. Like the MCQs you all do in this kind of a paper. Like this 1, 2, 3, ABCD 1, 2, 3, 4. You have options, right? So you go and put a circle. This kind of MCQ it can mark cross paper. Yes. So yeah, the answer there is false. MICR is used for check, not for marking MCQ answers. So if these are answers you mention, you can put half marks here. Is there anyone of you all who did this question that day itself? Or any day? If you all did this question, you all can tell me what your marks out of 10. How much? Good. Okay, 10, 8, 8. Good, good. Next. Then question number 4. By the way, if you have doubt, drop in chat. 8.5, good. 10, good, good. Next. Nice, interesting. If character P is represented in ASCII table as 112 base 10, write down the binary representation of the word no using 7 bits for each character. Okay. So in this question, they are telling, I'll write it here. The fourth question, Roman number 1. They are saying the character P, simple letter P, no? A simple letter P is 112, it seems. Okay, they are saying in ASCII, the value of simple letter P is 112. And they are asking, what is the value of no, the word no, in ASCII? Okay. ASCII is basically a coding system. It's like a method of converting text to binary. Okay. So ASCII is a coding system where every character is represented using 7 bits. Every character is represented using 7 bits. So using that idea, tell me, if I have 2 characters here, when I convert this word called no to binary, in my final answer, how many bits will I have? Again, the word called bit means binary digit. So tell me, if ASCII is a coding system where every character is represented using 7 bits, if I have word called no, if I convert this word called no to binary, in my binary answer, total how many bits will I have? Every character is 7 bits. So there are two characters here. So two characters means how many bits will be there? Perfect. 7 bits for the letter N, 7 bits for the letter O. So total my answer will have 14 bits. So we are going to figure out now what those 14 bits are. Now in general, you can't just directly go and divide. Now, if you take a number like 2, you can divide 2 by 2. Or if you have a number called 23, you can divide by, or 27, you can divide by 2. Numbers we can divide and convert to binary. But by default, letters can't be converted to binary. So that is why ASCII has assigned a specific number for every character. So if the value of P is 112, the remaining values will always be in a sequential order. So that means if P is 112, Q will be equal to 113, Q, P, Q, M, L, M, N, O, P, Q. It goes in sequential order. So likewise, if you see what is the value of N and O, the alphabet works like this, no? M, N, O, P. Okay, it works as M, N, O, P. L, M, N, O, P, no? M, N, O, P. So if we know that P is 112, then we can figure out O is 111 because it works in a sequential order, okay? N is 110, Q is 113, because that's how the order goes, okay? Okay, we know here, based on this, we know the value of N is equal to 110 and the value of O is equal to 111. Now, using this data, we have to convert this to binary. And you have to make sure our binary answer is there in 7 bits. Okay. Now, the normal method you all follow is you all go and take 110 and you all might divide by 2. 2 times 55 is 110, 0 remains. That's the normal method you all might follow. Okay. From grade 9 maths, you'll have learned that. But there's a shorter way as well. What you do is write the first 7. Now we have to find the number in 7 bits. No. So write the first 7 binary digits place value. That is 2 to the power 0, 2 to the power 1, 2 to the power 2, 2 to the power 3, 2 to the power 4, 2 to the power 5, and 2 to the power 6. These are the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. First 7 binary digits place value. Okay, these are 7 binary digits place value. After I find the first 7 binary digits place value, you can write in this order, okay? Start from right and go towards the left. Now what you do is, see, to form the respective number, what are the digits I have to add together? To form 110, just go through these numbers and see what are the numbers I have to add together. Like out of these numbers I wrote in pink color, see, what are the numbers if I add together, I get 110. You can start from 64. So 64 plus scale, add and see. 64 plus, let's see, 64 plus 32 is 64, 74, 84, 94, 95, 96. So 96 plus 96 plus here 106, 106 plus 4 is 110. Correct, 842. Okay. So after you know that by adding these numbers, I can get 110. Below the numbers you need, write 1. Below the numbers you don't need, write 0. So if I add 64 plus 32 plus 8 plus 4 plus 2, I get 110. So below the numbers I need, I write 1. Below the numbers I don't need, I write 0. So this is my answer in binary for n. Likewise, tell me to form the letter O, which means to get 111 out of these values, what are the numbers I add together? To get 111, what are the numbers I add together? The same thing plus 1. So plus 1 means what else you need? Exactly. To get 111, we need 64 plus 32 plus 8 plus 4 plus 2 plus 1. So below the numbers you need, write 1. Below the numbers you don't need, write 0. Is the answer. So now we know the value of n in binary and we know the value of O in binary. Okay. So now to find the value of NO in binary, we can say NO is equal. First of all, mention the value of n. The value of n is basically 110, 110. Is the value of n. Then the value of O, that's 110. and bubble 1. This is the value of no in ASCII. Why is it base 10? Because if it's not base 10, how can you divide a letter by 2? If you take a letter as default, by default can be does a letter have a numerical value as such that we can divide n by 2, capital N by 2, Gila? Is it possible to divide characters? Tanisha, can you do it? Like, can you divide this n by 2 or this n by 2? No, right? So because by default we can't represent characters using, because we can't divide that. What happened was there was an organization called ANSI, American National Standard Institute. So they created a map. So they assigned a numerical value for every character. So if you look at this, you can see the capital letter A is given the value of 65, simple letter A is given 97, plus symbol is given 43, star symbol is given 42, slash is 47, full stop 46. So every character have a value. Yes, right. That's how we find the answer. So we got this answer here. You can mark it correct. You can put 2 marks there. If you have any questions, drop in the chat. Yes, these values are fixed, Amar. Next, name 2 coding system used to represent characters. Example at FB in computers. Okay. In your syllabus, we learn 4 coding system. One is BCD, which is used to represent decimal numbers. Then we have ASCII, which you can use to represent simple letters, capital letters, symbols, and all those stuffs. Then we have a coding system called EBCDIC. This also has the same letters, numbers, symbols, but it has more symbols. And actually, EBCDIC was, I think, mainly made for mainframe computers something. And then we have something called as Unicode. This is a coding system we have. So in terms of what you call the at symbol, number 5B, all these stuffs you can express in all these 3 number systems. Okay. BCD only decimal numbers. Huh? So name 2 coding system. For this, if you mentioned ASCII, also you're correct. EBCDIC also you're correct. Unicode also you're correct. All 3 are correct. So out of these 3, if you mention any 2 answers, 1 mark each, total 2 marks there. If you have any questions, drop in the chat. Find the number of ASCII have symbols also. Yes, here. For example, exclamation mark, hashtag, dollar symbol. These are all symbols, no? See, number 33 is exclamation mark. 35 is hashtag. Okay. So find the number of bits in 16 GB flash memory module. So flash memory is a pen drive. Okay. So they are asking to convert in Roman number 3. They are asking to convert 15 GB to bits. In Roman number 3, they are asking to convert 16 GB to bits. Okay. So in terms of number conversions, I told you first of all, sorry, unit conversions, I told you first of all, you all should know all the units. I told you a way to remember all the units. Can I remember that way? Nuska has typed in already kept saying, okay, this is the sir's gonna, this is the next question sir's definitely gonna ask. Let me type and keep killer. She has the bullet ready. Correct. It was a big brothers. There's a big brother kin made green to purple. Okay, so yeah, these are the measuring units we have. Bits, bytes, kilobytes, megabytes, gigabytes, terabytes, and petabytes. Okay. You all can have your own way of remembering. I chose in the class, big brother kid made green to purple. And I told you all, remember always in a company, when you're getting promotion, your position is increasing, right? So when you go up in a company, your salary gets multiplied. Similarly, when you get demoted, when you go down in a company, your salary get divided. Okay, I'm going to reduce the salary by half. So you're dividing salary by half. Okay. So when you go down, your salary gets divided. We're going to apply that same idea here as well. Additionally, whenever you hear the word called bit, use the number 8. For others, use the number as 1024. So which means, let's say you are going to go from bits to bytes, you're going one step down. So if you're going down, you're going to divide. The word called bit is there, so divide by 8. We're going to go from bytes to kilobytes, bytes, kilobytes. Is the word called bit there? No. Bytes to kilobytes, you're going down, so divide by 1024. Okay. Only when the word called bit is there, you divide by 8, or if you're going up, you multiply by 8. For others all, if you're going up, you multiply by 1024. If you're going down, you divide by 1024. That's how it works. Okay. So in this question, we have to convert from 16 GB, we have to convert to bits. Okay. So first of all, see how to go from GB to bits. GB is here, bits is here. To go from GB to bits, first of all, you have to go from GB to MB. Then you have to go from MB to KB. Then you have to go from KB to bytes. And then you have to go from bytes to bits. Okay. The difference between bits is simple B, capital S, bytes is capital B, yeah, in terms of the units. This is how we can reach. Now, if you go from GB to bytes, you can see we are going up. So if you are going up, you multiply. No, GB to MB, you're going one step up. To go one step up, I told you to multiply by 1024. Similarly, if you're going to go from MB to KB, see from here to here, one step up. To go one step up, you're going to multiply by 1024. Likewise, KB to bytes, you're going one step up. To go one step up, you're going to multiply by 1024. And bytes to bits, you're going one step up. But because the word called bit is there, you're going to multiply by 8. So going up means multiply. With the word called bit is the 8, for others 1024. Okay. Now in the question, how many GB they said? They said 16 GB. So that's 16. We're going to multiply by 1024 into 1024 into 1024 into 8. Now, if you can find the answer for this, if you do the calculation, find the answer, you'll get the correct answer. But the problem is doing the calculation is not easy. So therefore, we can represent this in an index form. That is, you can represent 16 as 2 to the power 4. You can represent 1024 as 2 to the power 10, like this. And you can represent 8 as 2 to the power 3. So I'm just using common index and I'm representing them. Now, mathematically, you all know when the numbers are same and when you're multiplying, you can add the index, right? So tell me, if I multiply all these numbers together, I'll be getting that as 2 to the power how much? If you're normally multiplying, the numbers are same, you can add the index. So what will be the answer? 2 to the power 10, 20, 30, 34, 37. So you can keep your final answer as, when you convert to bits, the answer is 2 to the power 37 bits. So this is how you do this question. Is that clear, all of you? If you have any doubts, drop in the chat. Huh? So the answer is 2 to the power 37 bits. If you got that correct, mark it correct and get 2 marks there. Next. Convert 371 base 10 number into octal. Okay, 371. Normal number 4. It's to convert 371 to octal. Normally, from any number system, when you're going to from decimal number system, if you're going to convert to any other number system, the method is actually easy. Okay. If you're going to convert from decimal to binary, you divide by 2. If you're going to convert from decimal to octal, you divide by 8. If you're going to convert from decimal to hexa, you divide by 16. So decimal to any other number system is you divide by that number's base. Okay. So base of binary is 2, base of octal is 8, base of hexa is 16. Now here we are to convert to octal now. So we divide by octal's base. Okay. So if I divide 371 by base 8, no, Mario, you'll get the marks. Even if you keep your answer in this way, without even finding the answer, even if you keep your answer in this way, you get correct. So when you take what you called 370, if you divide by 8, 8 times 5 is 40, 8 times 4, 8, 16, 24, 32, 5 remains 51. 51 can 8 times 5 is 40, 8 times 6 is 48, 49, 50, 51, 2, 53, 54. So 8 times 6 is 48, 49, 50, 51. 3 remains. Then divide by 8. 8 times 5 is 40. 6 remains. Divide by 8. 8 times 0 is 0. 5 remains. So what I'm doing here is I'm doing the long division. That means, for example, if I have 371, I'm dividing by 8. So 8 times 4 is 32. 5 remains. Bring the 1 down. 8 times 6 is 8, 16, 24. 48. 3 remains. So once you do the long division, you get an answer and you get the remainder right. The answer is what I write here, and the remainder is what I write here. Okay, so you write the answer, remainder, you keep on dividing until you get 0. So once you get 0, you write the remainders from bottom to top. So your final answer is going to be 563 base 8. So we converted octal to represent octal number. We use the base 8. Why did you close your eyes and look up? That's why I perform calculations. I will do like mind calculation. So answer there is 563. You got that correct, you can put 2 marks there. Anyone who did this question, tell me out of 10 marks, how many marks you got? If you had doubts, drop in the chat. Okay, just drop the chat. Let's go for the next one. Okay, the fifth question. The fifth question they have said here, 8 marks. It's 8 marks, huh? No, no. 2, 4, 6. Oh, sorry, only 8 marks. No. Then what I will do is for the ASCII question, I'll give you for getting the value of incorrect 2 marks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. For value of incorrect 2 marks or correct 2 marks. Then 4 marks. No? Okay, next. Then 10. Good. Then 10. Okay. Next. Write 2 examples each for volatile memory and non-volatile memory. Right. Normally, when you take computer memory, the storage device, some storage devices are very sensitive. And if you're asking me for whom are they sensitive, they are sensitive to current. They're like current is there. Like, for example, you know, how your sense, like, for you, how important your heart, your blood, your oxygen, all these stuffs are. For these electronical devices, they are sensitive to current. Okay, like some of you are there, you're sensitive to sometimes, some of you are there, you're sensitive to some human being. If that human being is gone, your everything is gone again. Same thing for this electronic device as well. When current is gone, it'll forget everything. Okay, it's like it's so mad in love with the electricity. So these storage devices, when current goes, it loses all the data. Those devices we call as volatile device. It's like a sensitive to current fellow. So volatile devices, when current goes away, or when there is a current interruption, when the current goes and come, it loses all the data. Like for you, when your students are gone, right? Yes, Zena. Kidney touching statement. Understandable, Oscar. What do you call so when you take these storage devices in your computer, um, let's see if I can connect that with the remaining questions as well. Write 3 classifications, methods of computer called technology. Okay, that's relevant here. Yes, kidney touching. Correct, I'm right. So when you take these storage devices, like for example, we have devices like RAM, we have devices like ROM, we have devices like cache memory. These are examples for primary memory, no? And then you take secondary memory. These are examples for primary memory storage devices. Then we have examples of storage devices under secondary memory, no? So secondary memory, you can categorize under many subcategories as well. But without categorizing them, if I write, we have, for example, a hard disk, we have floppy disk, we have CD, DVD, Blu-ray disc, we have a pen drive, also known as USB flash drive, we have memory card. Okay, so there are several storage devices we have now. Now, out of these storage devices, if you take devices like your RAM and cache memory, these are two storage devices that are sensitive to the current. When the current is lost, all the data inside it is also lost. Apart from these two, there is another storage device which is inside the CPU. Right, CPU has three components now. Out of the three components, tell me what is a component of the CPU? That is a storage component. Correct. The storage device we have inside the CPU, the part of the CPU has three components: ALU, CU, and memory registers. Okay, not exactly, Anna. So, what do you call out of these three storage devices? The register memory is also, so register doesn't come under any of these two categories. So, under CPU, we have three components. No, under CPU, we have three components, which is ALU, CU, and memory register. So, memory registers are also, or register memory is also a volatile memory. So, these are three examples we have for volatile memory. Okay. So these devices, what happens is when the current is interrupted, when the current goes and comes, all the data it was storing will be completely lost. That's the RAM, cache memory, and register memory. The remaining all storage device comes on a non-volatile memory. So for example, the ROM, the hard disk, the US flash drive, CD, they all come under, all the remaining storage device comes under non-volatile storage device. So if you mention correctly two out of these three, if you correctly mention two examples, then 1 mark each, total 2 marks there. Then out of these, if you mention like out of the remaining storage devices, if you mention any two devices, again you can put 1 mark each, total 2 marks there. If you have any questions, drop in the chat. Next, name three classification methods of computer according to technology. Okay, when you take computers, we can categorize computers based on two sub main categories, right? One main category is based on technology. Tell me, other one is the categorization based on what? You can categorize computers. One is mainly based on technology. Apart from technology, we have one more. What is that? Perfect. Apart from technology, the next way we can categorize computers are based on the physical size. Okay, that means the size of the computer, right? So based on technology, we can categorize into three. I actually told you a while ago. The computers that use us only analog signals, they are called analog computers. The computers that uses only digital signals, we call them as digital computers. And the computers that uses both analog as well as digital signals, how do you call those computers as? Perfect. Those computers we call as hybrid computers. We have a famous example of hybrid computers, a machine that is used in health industry. What is that? Perfect. ECG machine actually comes under hybrid computers. Good. Then, in terms of size, we have the largest size of computers, which is mostly used even in these to run these AI applications and all, like those large scale AI applications for high performance. They use that. What's that computer? Even certain military organizations or even scientific research organizations like NASA and all, they use it. What is it? Perfect. Those large super size computers we call it as supercomputers. Okay. And then how do you call this computer that is mainly used by large scale businesses, mainly for their operations? Correct. Even if you take normal, if you take even the master online website, all these websites and all, even we don't have mainframe computers. Okay. And then The small scale businesses, what do they use? Like in a bank, within a small branch, inside a school, if you want to take a school lab, those situations and all. Correct. They use sometimes a mini computer. Then how do you call the category we have a personal computer comes under? Like our phone, laptop, normal computers we use in our home, all these comes under? Perfect. They come under the category of microcomputers. Okay. So these are the main four categories of computers. And in terms of largest size, it is the super. Here, from here to here, the size decreases. Okay, from here to here, the size decreases. So in this question, they're saying, write the three classification methods of computer according technology. So according technology, it is analog, digital, hybrid. So if you mention these three, you can put 1 mark each, total 3 marks there. Only those three are mentioned, analog, digital, and hybrid. Next. So here they are given a picture. Actually, these are the original marks. I'm just giving you random marks. Yeah, I think this should be suitable. These are technically you get only half marks each, even though I'm giving 1 mark each. Anyways, let's see. Here, name the paths defined by the letters A, B, C, D, and E in the following diagram. Okay. So this diagram is something which shows the data flow in the computer. That means how is data flowed in the computer. Now, at the end of the day, who is the main component in your computer? Who is like processing your data and all mainly? Perfect. The main component in your computer, it's the CPU. Okay. And then one of CPU's most, and the CPU is like best friend, like, the person who normally sends, and like we also call it as a CPU memory. We also relate this as CPU memory. That is basically the cache memory. One of the best friend of CPU is the cache memory. Okay. So apart from cache memory, even the RAM is very close to the CPU. So for example, any data that has to be processed, it will either come from the cache memory or else it will come to the CPU. Mostly it might come either one of them, only we'll send it to the what you call the CPU. Now these two memories actually come under one common category. What type of memory we call them as? Apart from this, even ROM comes here, but ROM doesn't play a role normally when you're using the computer. Correct. We can call this as a primary memory. Okay. So a primary memory is the one, or else also known as a main memory. That is the memory mostly that will deal with instructions in your computer, all the data that's given for the CPU to process. So this whole thing is the CPU. Okay. Whatever data is given for the CPU to process is done by the main memory. Now, for your RAM or somewhere to get data from the user. Now, the user has to give the data for the computer. So as a user, you will enter data to the computer to what through what type of devices? First of all, you have to give data for the computer, no? Sama J. Give me a moment, guys. Hello? Oh. Sorry on the gap. Yes. What do you call the we enter data for the computer through the input devices. And then from the computer, if you want to obtain data, we can obtain the data through what device? Perfect. If you want to obtain data, you can obtain through the output device. So here for the primary memory to get the data is sent from here through the input device. And then the primary memory will decide. So always whatever data you enter for the computer, it will first of all go to the primary memory. For example, let's say in the keyboard, you go and type something. Whatever you type in the keyboard will be first of all sent to the RAM only, and RAM will decide where to send this data. If the data has to be processed, the RAM will send the data for the CPU. If the data has to be shown back to the user, it will send the data for the output device. Okay. But apart from processing the data, apart from giving the user back the data, let's say the data has to be stored permanently. So where do we store data permanently in the computer? In primary memory, we can't store data as a user, we can't store data permanently. So as a user, if you want to store data permanently, then where do you go and store the data? Yeah, so hard disk comes under what category? Perfect. It's the secondary memory. So A is representing the secondary memory. So mostly hard disk is all used here, but you can store the data on any secondary memory. So here A is secondary memory, B is input device, C is representing the output device. Okay, and D is a part of the CPU. CPU has three components. One is a memory register that will first of all store the data temporarily, and after you store the data temporarily, the processing like the calculation, thinking, all those are done by whom? Perfect. Arithmetic, logical unit. So ALU will perform the processing, the thinking, and then the CU will decide where to send the data. So this is how the data is flowed within the computer. Okay. So if you mention them, if you had mentioned them correct, you can put half marks each. If you have doubts, you can drop in the chat. Write two examples each for A, B, and C. What's ALU? ALU stands for arithmetic logical unit. It's like the brain of, it's the main part of the brain that performs calculations, comparisons, thinking, okay, all those stuffs. So imagine, for example, the brain has three parts. First part is to store. Now, for example, let's say I give you a question. I might tell you what is the answer of 2 times 3. So for you to find the answer, first of all, you have to listen and store the question in your mind now. So that is store that question, that is going to be done in the register memory. So that will like keep in your mind, okay, the number sir said was 2 times, the question sir said was 2 times 3. Then after that, you perform a calculation, you will think, okay, what is 2 times 3? Then you know answer is 6. So the part that finds the answer 6, that's the ALU. And then control it will be like where to send this data. Now, for example, if I ask you the questions now, where are you sending the data? You are sending the answer through the Zoom chat. But let's say if it was a physical class, then you will be telling it the answer through your mouth. So control unit in your brain will tell the data you process, where to send it mostly. No, it will be like where to get the data from as well. So it depends. So write two examples each for A, B, and C. Okay, A is secondary memory. So for examples for secondary memory, you can mention any of these. So I already mentioned here. So any of these examples you can mention. So any example you mention out of this, you can put half marks each. Total 1 mark there. And for input device, there are several examples we have. You can mention keyboard, mouse. All these are input device. Keyboard, mouse, microphone, scanners. All these are input device. So any input device you mention also, half marks each, total 1 mark there. So apart from A, B, they wanted the value for C as well. For output device also, you can mention any device you want, like monitor, projector, TV, any or else a printer. Any of those devices are correct. Half marks each, total 1 mark there. Yes, touchscreen you can consider as, mostly touchscreen is considered as input device, but sometimes you can consider touchscreen as both input and output. Next, write the two types of communication media and two examples each. Okay, normally when you take communication, data communication, communication happens between two people. How do you call the person who initiates a conversation, like who starts to speak? Perfect. The person who initiates a conversation, we call that person as a sender. And the person who gets the answer, that's the two examples of secondary memory. That's what I mentioned here. Hard disk, floppy disk, CD, DVD, pen drive, memory card. These are all examples for secondary memory. Okay. The person who gets the data, we call that person as a receiver. Okay. And the thing that carries the data from the sender and goes and gives for the receiver, we call this as a medium. Okay. We call this as the medium. So The question is saying name two types of communication media and write two examples each. Now, when you take this data communication medium, that means thing that's taking the data from the sender and going for the going to the receiver. You can categorize this, or the examples we have for the medium, we can categorize them to two. One is the wired medium, and one is the wireless medium. So there is a special name we have for the wired medium. What do we call it as? What media? It starts with letter G. What is it? Correct. Why is touchscreen considered as an output device? Because majority of the nowadays mobile phones touchscreen, the display and touchscreen comes together as one thing, not as two different things. Perfect. The wired devices we can call it as a guided media, and then the wireless devices we can call it as a unguided media. Okay, you can call it as unguided media. So the question is saying name two types of communication media. So one is guided media, one is unguided media. And two examples. For guided media, we have three examples. One is the twisted pair cables. Twisted pair cables. This is what we normally use in phone chargers, our normal, like, the cables which we use to connect the phones to laptops, all those stuff. So that's the twisted pair cable. And the cable that we use to connect the antenna to the TV, all those stuffs, we call that as coaxial cable. And then we have the cable that's fastest in terms of speed, which we use in internet connections. All yes, that's called the fiber optics cable. So for guided media, these are three examples we have. In terms of unguided media, there is a device that we have in those TV remote, AC remote, and all for very small distance communication, and both the sender and receiver has to be like face to face. That is what we call as the infrared. No, infrared. Infrared will we have in TV remote, all those stuffs and all the remotes and all, which has to be face to face. It's infrared. Then if you take Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, then if you take application like hotspot, these all mostly works based on radio waves. So Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, all examples of radio waves. Then we have these satellite communications now. So satellite communication, it happens in the form of like the large distance communication. It happens in the form of micro waves. Okay. So you can mention any two examples. So for mentioning what you called for mentioning guided media, you can put half marks. Unguided media, half marks. For two examples, half marks each, total 1 mark. And for two examples for unguided media, again half marks each, total 1 mark. What about walkie-talkie? Walkie-talkie don't use radio waves, no? Or a walkie-talkie uses radio waves. Walkie-talkie uses radio waves. But it's a very small frequency. Next, write an advantage and disadvantage for computer networking. Okay. So computer network is where you have a collection of devices interconnected with each other. So basically, let's say we have multiple devices. If these four devices are connected, it can be wired, wirelessly, whatever way it can be. But if there are multiple devices that are interconnected with each other, so as long as they're interconnected, you can call this as a computer network. So one of the advantage of computer network is it's easy to share data and information. Okay, so easy to share data and information. That's the main advantage we have. Apart from sharing data and information, easy to share data and information, we can also share resources. So what I mean by resources is, like, for example, let's say we have an office. In the office, let's say I have 4 computers, and let's say I want a printer. So what I can do is, for this network, I can connect a printer as well. So now what happens is, because all of them are interconnected, because all of them are connected with each other, even computer A can print, computer B can print, computer C also can take printouts, computer D also can take printouts, because all of them are in the same network. Okay. But if there were four different computers and if there is no any sort of connection, sometimes for the four computers, I will need four different printers. Okay. So apart from sharing data and information, you can share resources as well. Share resources. And apart from that, because of networking only, we have something called internet. And because we have internet, we can communicate easily as well. Earlier days, we used to write emails, we used to send letters for people. Okay. And sending letters used to take time. And that was replaced by a way of how you can send messages for people who are far away from you. Even if you are country wise, if you are separated, also still you can send messages. How do you call that method of communication which came as a replacement for written letters? Now, earlier we used to write letters, right? So that written letters was replaced by what type of communication? Yes, that is basically email. Okay. So email, so normally you're sending a message, sending a letter for people, those letters are called mail. Okay. Those are called actually with the post office is called a mail service. That's a mail. Electronic version of that is called email. Okay. So email is another advantage we have. So apart from that, there are some other advantages as well. Any other advantage all wrote, it's correct. In terms of net disadvantage, there are multiple disadvantages, but there's one main disadvantage we have for computer network. That is, it requires, no, wait, that is not net. Wait, if you have internet only, it requires network. Sorry, sorry. One of the main disadvantage we have for computer network is we have a security issue. So it's possible to encounter virus or hacking. A virus means it can come even in what you called virus can happen even without internet as well, without network as well. But mostly hacking is mainly possible itself only if there's a network. Without a network, it's not easy to hack. Okay. So possible, we are not saying that it will definitely happen, but possibility is to what you call for other people to hack your devices. So it's not easy, but it's possible. That's the main disadvantage we have. But apart from that, we have other disadvantages like sometimes if you're having a network and if you're depending on a network, like for example, if you have a network where four computers are connected with each other, and let's say all the data are stored in this device, and whenever you want the data, you would access this data, let's say using the internet or any other forms of a computer. So let's say this computer gets broken or something, the whole network will get interrupted. So that's also a disadvantage we have. But yeah, hacking is the main problem we have. So yeah, for mentioning one advantage, you can put half marks. For one disadvantage, you can put half marks. So total you have your half, half, one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine. Yeah, because I give here for the ABCD, I get half ABCD E. So half of one, 1.1, half of one, one and a half, two. Please, where's E? The question says name A, B, C, D, and E. Where is E? Can I also see E anywhere? It's like a Dora now. Where is E? Like, can you all see E in the diagram or am I blind? If one camera gets hacked, is the other getting hacked too? Depends on how the network is connected. If it's some networks you can, some you can't. Printing mistake, ne? Yeah, yeah. So in that case, half marks each. So there are 2 marks for this question. And two examples for each for ABC, half. So one, two, three. I get 3 marks here. For two types of communication media and two examples, I gave 1 mark, 2 mark, 3 mark. Here I gave 1 mark. So 3, 4, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, let's segregate both of them separately. So there I'll give 9. And here I had 9, two examples each. I gave 2 marks. So 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. I get 17 marks. It's too much. Should reduce the marks here a bit. For this first question, without putting 2 marks, put half marks each. So total 1 mark. Here was a half mark each, total 1 mark. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Why? So that I can get 15 marks. It looks like a nice number. Technically, the 10 marks question, I reduced some more. What do you call to make it look like a 15 marks question? I did some corrections. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay. Out of 15, 10, how many marks you got? Believe your eyes. Yeah, I have to. I was, for a moment, I was like thinking, did I miss anything? The secondary memory marks is for the other question, right? Oh, yeah, secondary memory marks for other question. Then we are again back to 14 marks. Oh, shoot, sorry. Then I'll have 3, 4, 5 here. How can I increase marks here then? I can't increase, no. I have to increase by one, not increase one more mark. Okay, then back to same method. Then half marks may I have to increase one mark. How can I increase one mark? Two halves. I have two halves. I can make two halves become one full. So what are the halves I have? Okay, for guided media, unguided media, I said half half no. You can put one mark each. One mark, one mark. So you put one mark, then you have 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, so 4, 3, 2, 1, 4, 7, 8, 9, 10. For here it's 2 marks, half half. Here it's 3 marks. 1, 1, 1. Okay, tell me out of what you called 15 marks, how many marks I got? Be generous. No, I am not confused in adding men. I'm here saying how can I distribute? It's kind of like dividing. Where can I get the paper? It's a continuation of last paper. So if you, it was there in the previous meeting link. Today I did not share. I can't understand what I'm saying. That's because I was telling why on self alpha and I was not asked. It was, I was talking to my brain. Okay, next. Spreadsheet. So some of you have not learned spreadsheet yet, but I'll tell you how to handle spreadsheet questions. Huh? Listen, because some of your exams you're getting spreadsheet question. A spreadsheet used to calculate the following is a calculation of selling prices and is a calculation of the selling prices and the profit made from the sales of some goods item, blah, 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 blah. Nothing big is mentioned there. So if you go through the spreadsheet here, there's a column containing the food items like tea bun, fish bun, egg bun, sausage bun. There are certain food items. They have mentioned the cost. Wow, they have used Sri Lankan rupees. They mentioned rupee here. So you can see the prices of everything is mentioned. Yeah, very expensive. And here the quantities are there as well. Okay. And the selling price. So quantity of what? So spreadsheet calculation of the selling price and the profit made from sales of food items available for the sale in canteen for Islam Mahavidyalaya. Okay. So I think I think this is talking about the quantity sold. Hmm. And you have the selling price as well. And here you can see the cost amount. And here you can see the profit amount. And here you can see the profit. So here you can see the amount they got by the selling after selling. And here you can see the profit they have gotten. Okay, there are some basic data. Fine. Is it? So first of all, you have to make sure you go through the spreadsheet and figure out what are the data the spreadsheet have. Because without knowing what are the data spreadsheet have, doing the question is not very easy. So just go through the database, go through the spreadsheet and see what are the data we have. Next, the first question they have mentioned, give the formula for calculating the total of cost amount in cell 11. So normally in spreadsheet, each of these boxes, we call this as a cell. And if you take a mouse and click on a cell, that selected cell, we call that as an active cell. Okay, in a spreadsheet, the selected cell we call as active cell. So within a cell, there are certain things you can go and write. You can go and type numbers, you can go and type words, or you can go and type anything as well. Now, spreadsheet has a special features. It can perform calculations on your behalf. So if you want the spreadsheet applications to perform calculations, what you can do is inside a cell, you can go and write something called as a formula. Inside a cell, you can go and write something called as a formula. So you start a formula with the equal symbol. Always keep in mind, formula starts with equal symbol. And within a formula, you can go and include numbers. Within a formula, you can go and write, include symbols. Like symbols are mostly called as arithmetic operators, like addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. The symbols are there, right? These symbols, we can call them as arithmetic operators. So apart from numbers and symbols, you can also use something called as cell addresses. So if you take a spreadsheet, to identify every cell, we have something called as a cell address. To find the cell address of a specific cell, you'll see what column it is there and what row it is there. So for example, if you look at this cell which I have selected here, it is there in the column G, row number 13. So I can say that this cell is G13 cell. So this G13, that is what we call as a cell address. Okay, so every cell has an address. So if you take this cell, what is the address of this cell? Column C, row number 13. So what do you think the cell address of this second cell is going to be? Which colored here? Perfect. That's the C13 cell. Okay, so every cell has a cell address. And then apart from cell address, another thing which you can include inside a formula is something called as a function. Okay. In spreadsheet, to make our work easy, we have millions of functions, right? To do calculations, to make our work easy, we have millions of functions. And in your syllabus, we have only around 5 or 6 functions, nothing much. Okay. In your new syllabus, there was like 2 or 3 functions extra. So first I'll tell you the old functions we had. So the functions we have in our syllabus are, one is a function called sum, one is a function called count, one is a function called count A, one is a function called min, max, and average. These are the functions we have in our syllabus. Apart from that, I think in your new syllabus, we had something called if as well. If function was also added to your new syllabus. I think count if was also added. I'll come to that later. I'll double check on that. But yeah, leaving that thing aside, these are some functions we can use, okay, within a formula. So let me just show you what I mean by these stuffs, Will. For example, Google Sheet is an example of a spreadsheet software. So let's say I have a what you call spreadsheet application here. I can go and write formulas here. Okay, so for example, let's say I go and write something like this: 1, 2, 4, 5, some random numbers, 7, 9. Yeah, I just wrote some random numbers. Okay. Certain cells I'll keep as empty as well. Certain I'll go and write some words as well, like hello. Okay. So I have included some random values here. Okay, I've included some random values here. Now, there's a, let's say I want to find the addition of these 3 values. To find the addition of 5 plus 0 plus 1, I can use a function. I can write a formula like this. You always start a formula with equal symbol. I can directly also go and write. I can directly go and write equals 5 plus 0 plus 1. So I can go and write the formula. So if I go and write this formula, you can see the answer is showing here automatically as 6. So the calculation is performed by the spreadsheet application. So I can include numbers. I can include any symbols. Here I use addition. You can use multiplication, division. Any symbol is fine. So apart from these two, you can also use something called as cell addresses. So for example, without mentioning number 1, I'm going to mention a cell address holding 1. What is the cell address? A1. Okay. So here I'm going to mention 5 plus 0 plus A1. So you can see still I'm getting 6. So when I'm performing calculations, apart from using numbers, I can also use cell addresses as well. Up to here, is it clear all of you? You can write formulas, always start a formula with the equal symbol. And instead of formula, you can use numbers, you can use symbols, and you can use cell address. Perfect. So apart from numbers and symbols and what you call the cell address, you can also use functions. So in spreadsheet, I told you we have these functions: sum, count, count a, min, max. Sum is used to add multiple values together. So for example, let's say whatever values that are there in this range, I want to add them together. So I can write here equals 5 plus 0 plus a1 plus I'm going to mention sum. So in brackets of sum, I have to mention the range of cells I want to add. So let's say I want to add all the numbers in this range. Range means a collection. So let's say in this collection of cells, I want to add the values together. So if you want to add values in a range of cells, you have to mention something called as a cell range. Okay. So to represent a collection of cells, we have something called a cell range. Okay. To represent a collection of cells, we have something called as cell range. And you want to write the cell range, you have to see the collection of cells in this direction. Okay. So left side top to right side bottom. So if I look this collection of cells, it starts from here and it goes up to here. So the starting cell's address is B1, ending cell's address is B4, right? Yeah, B4. So you can represent cell range as B1 to B4. So always we say the starting cell, ending cell, and between that we mention the colon. Okay, so that's the cell range. So within a formula, you can use numbers, symbols, cell addresses, and functions. Is that part clear, all of you? Okay. So in terms of the purpose, sum is a function that is used to add values together. Min is a function that is used to find the smallest value in a collection of cells. So if you select a collection of cell, you can find the smallest value in min. Max is used to find the largest value out of the collection of cell. Average is used to find the average value. Count is used to count the number of cells containing numbers only. And count A is a function that we use to count the number of cells that are not empty. So if you want to count the number of cells that are not empty, we use count A. If you want to count the number of cells that contain numbers only, we use count. So what I mean by numbers only and not empty is, for example, if I take this collection of cells, this whole collection, if you take, in this cell range, how many cells contain numbers only, or else like values only, datas that are measurable? Yes, Shaza. If you look at the cell range, how many cells contain numbers only, or let's say values only, the data that can be measured? Correct. One, two, three, four, five. So if I use a count function will be like in this cell range, there are five values contain numbers. Now, same cell range, if I use count A is used to count the number of cells that are not empty. So if I look at the cell range, you can see in blue color, how many cells are not empty? Correct. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven. Okay. Out of these eight cells, seven cells are not empty. So count A will give me something like seven. So I'll show you. So if I mention a equals count, and if I mention the cell range, so if a count is giving me five. But if I say equals count A, it will count the number of cells that are not empty. Seven cells are not empty. So this is count A, this is count. So min will give me the smallest value, which is 0. Max will give the largest value, 673. Average, it'll add all the numbers together and give the average. That's how these works. If you get a question, I'll come to this. First question, they are saying, give the formula for calculating the total cost of amount in cell E11. So E11 is something here. You want to calculate the total cost. So if you want to calculate the total cost, that means you can see all these cells from here. Okay. From here, all these cells contain the cost of every items. So if you want to calculate the total cost, that means we have to add these values together. So there are two ways you can add these values. You can mention equals, what do you call, you can start the formula with equal symbol and you can write equals E2 plus E3 plus E4 plus E5 plus E6 plus E7 plus E8 plus E9 plus E10. You can write a long formula like this. But this is too long, right? If you want, you can shorten this whole thing using sum function. I said sum can be used to add values together now. So you can rewrite this whole thing using the sum function and you can replace that whole thing with equals sum and you can mention the cell range. So if you look at this collection of cells, it starts from here and goes up to here. So cell range, we only mention the starting and ending cell in this view, like left side top to right side bottom. So starting cell is E2 cell, ending cell is E10 cell. So it or write in this long formula, you can write a short. Both are correct at the end of the day. Any of these answers you mentioned, you can put 2 marks there. If you have any question, drop in the chat. Won't count A, C empty cells also. I literally told that it will count non-empty cells. So if it counts empty cells, then can I tell this? If it counts empty cell, then can I tell this? No, right? Then, so when writing the formula, it should be capitalized like some. No, 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 there is no capital simple problem here. You can write capital letters, simple letters, no any issues. Brackets are must, right? If it's necessary. For the first one, don't need a bracket, right? Second one needs a bracket. When you're using functions, you need brackets. But without the function, if it's necessary, you can write. Here, it's not necessary. So we don't write. For functions, it is necessary. Any function you use, like there are millions and billions of functions, any function you use, brackets are necessary. But for formulas without functions, if you need, you can. If you don't need, you don't have to. Second question. Give the formula for calculating the total sailing amount. It should be sailing amount, huh? In F11. That's the plan number in, let's see. So in F11 cell, you can see we have the total selling amount. So if you want to calculate the total selling amount, that means these values, if you want to add together, give me a formula we can write with functions. Give me a formula using functions that we can write to add the values of all these together to find the total selling amount. What is the whole function? What is the whole formula? Give me the full formula. Sum is the name of the function. I want the full formula. Formula start with equal symbol. Perfect. The formula is going to be equal sum F2 to F10. This is going to be your formula. Okay, equal sum F2 to F10. If you got that correct, you can put 2 marks there. If you have any questions, drop in the chat. Count A counts the cells that are not empty, man. Like just like literally go for a spreadsheet. You have a collection of cells. You see how many cells are not empty. Only this is not empty, right? So only this is empty. Apart from this, all these cells are not empty. So count A, it will count the cells that are not empty. In a selected range, not empty is what? Only this fellow is not empty. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's nothing complicated there. I mean, what is complicated in the word called not empty? What is confusing, right? This is second term lesson. Old syllabus, yes. New syllabus. Some schools they have done, not all the schools. Okay, next. Show the function written in capital. I just know answer that. There is no simple capital on this one. Next. Give the formula for calculating profit from T1 in cell G2. In cell G2, you want to calculate the profit. Okay. If you go through the spreadsheet, you can see, and for this, you should have some common sense as well. You can't just expect for them to, now if you look at this question here, in this question, they have thought that you all don't have common sense and they have mentioned here profit is equal to the amount minus cost amount. But don't expect this always in exams. Huh? In exams, they expect you all to have some common sense. So you all should know, okay, go through the spreadsheet. Okay, here we have the cost, here we have quantity, here we have selling price, here we have cost. So you all should have the common sense to know, okay, profit is basically calculated by taking the selling price and from the selling price, reduce the cost. Okay, so that common sense you all should have a bit. Anyways, in this question, they have given you already. In the question, they have said you can calculate the profit by taking this amount, okay, this amount column, and from the amount column, you can subtract the cost. Now, we want the selling price for T bun now. To calculate the selling price of T bun, first of all, you should know the amount of profit, so the amount of sales we have got from T bun. So the T bun, the total sales amount we have is 3000, and that's there in the F2 cell. So to find the profit, first of all, we have to take the F2 sales value. And from that F2 sales value, we have to subtract the cost. So tell me the cost, total cost for T bun, that is there in which cell? Perfect. The total cost for T bun, that's there in the E2 cell. See, cost amount for T bun, that's there in is E2 cell. So here the formula is going to be equals F2 minus E2. Always keep in mind, formulas has to start with equal symbol. And try as maximum possible to write formulas only using cell address. Only in situation you can't use cell address, go for something else. Because in reality, mostly when we are writing formulas, we always write using cell address, not direct values. Like we don't go and write a equals 3000 minus 25. We don't write those. We normally depend on cell address. Next, after calculating the profit in cell G2, okay, that means we have calculated the profit in G2 here. After calculating that, what spreadsheet method can be used to immediately copy it to cell G10? Okay, so if you want immediate use to copy it to cell G10, okay, you want to directly copy it to cell G10. Normally, when you're copy pasting formulas, there are two methods we have. Isn't there a function? What? We are taking the amount and subtracting the cost. That's our own formula. No, there is no functions. We don't have functions for subtraction. What do you call the? In order to copy paste formulas, there are two methods we have. One is a normal copy paste method. That is, for example, I can select this cell. Okay, let's say I have a formula saying equals 4 times 3. Currently, you can't see the formula, so let me make the formulas visible. So you can see equals 4 times, One is a copy paste method. That is, I can right click and press copy and go for the destination cell, right click and click on paste. Okay. So there's a keyboard shortcut without right clicking and pressing copy. The keyboard shortcut is pressing Control plus C to copy and Control and the letter V. So in the keyboard, you have the Control key and the letter C, Control key and the letter V. You can press them together to copy and to paste. Okay. So Control plus C to copy, Control plus V to paste. No, Rehan. Okay. So in terms of copy pasting the formula, there can be you have two methods you have. One method is a copy pasting method. Okay. So you can mention method number one is copy and paste using Control plus C and Control plus V. So Control plus C to copy, Control plus V to paste. That is one method we have. Apart from that, there's another method as well. That is something called as a fill handle tool. Now you can see the selected cell, the active cell has a border and a small circle, right? In some applications, you have a circle, some applications, it's a square, okay? So if I click on that and if I drag, so I can drag it down, I can drag it towards my right hand, I can drag it in different directions, okay? So if I click on that circle and if I drag, wherever I drag also, you can see the formula is getting copied. See, wherever I drag, it's getting copied. So this tool we have here, it's called the fill handle tool. So the second method we have is using fill handle tool. Okay. Now in this question, I would recommend using the copy paste method because we want to copy the formula from here and paste it here. But I think it's a spelling, it's a typing error. The question should have been after calculating the profit in cell G2, what spreadsheet method can be used to immediately copy it to all the cells up to G10? Now, if they said if you want to copy to all the cells up to G10, then the most suitable one will be fill handle tool. Just click on that and drag it down. Is that clear, all of you? Yes, Surya. Okay, is this part clear? The two methods to copy paste formulas? Perfect. So if you want to copy to random place, like from here, if I want to copy, and if I want to paste a random place, the most suitable is Control C, Control V. But if I want to copy to a close by cells, then I can click and drag. So click and drag like this, it'll paste here. Click and drag like this, it'll paste here. So just click on the fill handle tool and drag to wherever you want. That's how fill handle tool works. But as they said, spreadsheet method will copy paste will be okay as the answer. Yeah, this is a method in spreadsheet. In spreadsheet, we have two methods: copy paste and fill handle. I'll send Surya later. So if you mention any one of these answer in this question, suitable is the first one. But yeah, any of these answer, you can put 1 mark there. Next, what is the formula used to calculate the cost amount in cell E2? And they have given a hint here as well. The cost amount is equal to cost into quantity. Okay. In E2 cell, that is here. In this E2 cell, you want to calculate the cost, it seems. And they are saying you can calculate the cost by taking the cost amount and multiply that by the quantity. Okay, this cost amount, you can multiply it by the quantity and you can get the cost amount, it seems. That's what the question is saying. Now, again, I'm saying normally in writing formulas, always you write maximum using cell address. So what is the cell that contains the cost of the T-bar? In which cell do we have the cost of the T-bar? Perfect. Cost of T-bar is there in the B2 cell and the quantity T-bar is there. That's then which cell? Perfect. See, the quantity is there in C2 cell. So you can write your answer as equals B2 into C2. Always keep in mind, you start a formula with equal symbol. So equals B2 into C2. So if you mention equals B2 into C2, you can mark it correct. Put 1 mark there. So 2 marks there. Next, write the formula used to calculate the total profit in cell G11. In cell G11. Okay. Tell me, if I want to calculate the total profit, what is the formula I can write there? So total profit means basically the addition of all these values that are highlighted in blue color. How can you highlight? How can you calculate that? Give me the formula. Formula. Yes, Surya. Correct. It's equal sum. And for sum, you just take this blue color cell ring. We're starting from G2. We're going up to G10. So it's going to be equal sum G2 to G10. Equal sum G2 to G10. So that's how the answer is going to be. You got it correct, mark it correct. 2 points there. If you have any questions, drop in the chat. Hmm. It's not Sam, it's Sam. Let's see, is there actually a function called Sam? I don't think so. That like there is no some function like that. No function like that, it seems. Next. Identify the following icons in a spreadsheet software. So in a word processing software. Would this be sent in PDF? Yeah, yeah, I'll be sharing the group. Actually, I've already shared it. If you go and click on the link, I sent the last class recording, right? The day one seminar recording along with that, with same PDF. If you go and click, whatever I wrote now was will be updated. Kind of. So there. Identify the following icons used in word processing software. So font color, bullets, center line. Okay, they have labeled ABCD or to figure out what is ABCD. Okay. Out of these tools we have here, if you take a word processing application like Microsoft Word, you can go and type text documents now. Here we have something called this is called the font font style. Okay, we can call it font style or a font tool. So font style, it will tell you the like different handwritings. For example, different ways you can write. I'll open Word below and show you. No alpha. Give me a moment, sorry. So for example, if I'm writing something here, like for example, let's say I write the word called hello world, I can change the way the text looks using the font style tool. So you can see there are different font styles we have. Still loading, wait. Okay, you can see there are different font styles I have. So let's say I go and click something like the word called Comic Sans. So you can see the font style changed. I can increase the font size using this increase font size tool, or decrease the font size in decrease font size tool, or directly I can enter number and change from here as well. Okay, so from here I can change the font size. Here I can change the font style. See, these are different like handwriting we have. Okay, I normally use Poppins. So the fonts you might mostly find my Tooths or Poppins. Anyways, so that's the font style. Then is the font size, increase font size, decrease font size. This we call as a change case tool. Okay. So change case tool, this is normally used to, now if you take letters, there are two case we have, uppercase and lowercase. So if you want to change from that, for example, you can see here I have different, no, these are one is capital letter, one is simple letter. So let's say I want to make all the letters capital. So I can go for this change case tool. Don't I have change case in this online version? Okay, it's there here. So from the change case tool, like you can see lowercase, uppercase, here I have multiple options. So if I, for example, go and click on uppercase, all my letters will be in capital. From the change case, if I go and click on lowercase, everything will be in simple. That's how the change case works. Okay. So apart from change case tool, I have a clear formatting. So this clear formatting like eraser tool. So whatever formatting means like changes. So if I go and click on this clear formatting, it will come back to normal, like how it was first time when I wrote. So that's what clear formatting does. And apart from that, then we have the bullets to clear the bullet points, the numbering to create 1, 2, 3 points. Okay, like for example, if I have multiple words here, I can make this in bullet points using this bullet tool. I can make it the numbers 1, 2, 3 using numbering tool. Okay. So likewise, we have certain tools here as well, but I'll come to these later. The other main tools here, we have the bold tool. So bold is used to darken a text. This is called the italic tool, and this is used to slant a text. Okay. So for example, if I have a text here, I can make a text look dark using the bold tool. I can make the text look slanted using the italic tool. I can underline the text using the underline tool. And I can make a line go through middle of the text using the strike through tool. So this is called strike through. Okay, so we have the underline. And this is called the strike through, the line through the text. Apart from that, we have something called superscript and subscript. For example, if you want to represent a number with base, like 10 to the power 2, 10 base 2, First of all, let me increase the number. If you want to represent base 2, like number to come down, then you call it subscript, which comes down like this. Let's say you want to represent number with to come up. Like for example, let's say I want to represent something like 2 to the power 10. So to represent powers of 10, okay, to represent the power 10, I might use subscript, so superscript. So superscript is to go up, subscript is to go down. So this is how the super. So if you are like confused between superscript and subscript, always use the word. Remember the word called super. Super is like someone better than you, like they're like top of you. So superscript is on up, subscript is opposite of that. Subscript is down. Okay, so x to the base 2 is subscript, x to the power 2 is superscript. So this is to the power top is superscript, and the bottom one is subscript. This is the text effect tool. That's not there in a syllabus, so I'll ignore that. Here, the tool which has like the A, B, and like a highlighter. Here it's a bit different, but this is a highlight tool. If I let me see in my Microsoft Word, how is it there in my download version? In my downloaded version also, it's different. So that's the old Microsoft Word. Let's see if I can get the old UI. That's secret for them. Okay, it's still loading here. But if you look at this old interface of Microsoft Word, there's like a letter A, B, and like a high, like a yellow color line and like a paintbrush kind of thing, right? That's the highlighter tool. And the letter A with like a red color line down, that's called the text color tool. So in the newer version, the icon is a bit different. So to highlight a text, you can use a highlight tool. And to change the color of a text, you can do the font color tool. So from here, I can change the color of the text to anything I want. Okay. So this is called the highlight tool, highlighter, highlighter. And this is called the font color. And then if you look at C is topic going for the up one. I already labeled it. That's called the bullets tool. D is actually pointing towards the alignment. So spreadsheet has 4 types of alignment. If all the text are going to touch the left margin like this, if all the text are going to touch the left margin, we call it as the left alignment tool. If you want all the text to touch the right margin like this, we call this right alignment tool. If you want the text to be in the middle, equal distance from left and right margin, we call this as a center align tool. If you want your text to touch both the left margin, right margin killer. If you want your text to touch equally both, we call this as justify alignment. So for example, let me just take a random paragraph. No, Nuska, it's 100 only. So let's say I have a random paragraph. Okay. If I want all the values to touch the left margin only, then I can click on the left alignment too. So all are touching left margin only. If I want everything to touch the right margin, I can click on this right alignment too. Okay. So this is left alignment. Sorry, there was a network issue. Streaming happening properly. Yeah. Okay. So come back to the context. So if you look at the center line, in center line, what happens is it will touch both the left and right margin from equal distance. So if I click on this text and if I enter center line, it will touch the left and right equally. Okay. And then if I take what you call justify alignment, justify is where it will touch the left and right margin equally. So for example, if you look at this last paragraph here, in last paragraph, you can see the text is touching both left and right margin equally, right? Only the last line is left. All the lines are equal now. So that's what we call as the justify alignment. Okay, so these are respective tools. See, all the side left is align left, all to the right, right align, middle is center line, equal distance is justify alignment. So those are the alignment options we have. So D is representing the, you can see center align, right? So apart from that, we have other tools as well, but these are the main tools we have for now. Is that clear, all of you? Like, I having a rough idea of these tools? Got the rough idea? Perfect. So their first question was asking A, B, C, D. So font color is the tool B, and then bullets is the tool C, and center align is tool D. Highlighter is tool A. So this is A, B, C, D. Sixth, fourth one. Here you go. Done, so next. I was so interested in reading those paragraphs. Jobless. There are actually called gibberish text. This gibberish text is something called lorem ipsum. So you can go to Google and whenever you want gibberish text, you can just go and take from lorem ipsum. So mostly when you're doing designing or development and all, when you want any gibberish text, we come and take from here only. You can generate how many lines you want, how many paragraphs you want. There's a way you can generate them as well. Gibberish means this random text that doesn't have a meaning. Okay, next question. This document has been created using a word processing application and it closely resembles the layout shown in picture 1. Picture 1 kya this is picture 1, I guess. The sections where format adjustments have been made are marked with letters labeled A to G. You will find a set of tools numbered from 1 to 16. Your task is to correctly identify. Okay, you're basically do matching. Fine. Let's see one by one. I think this. Okay. Now you can see first of all the letter A. The letter A, you can see first of all the text looks a bit dark. So out of these numbers, you all can see from the right side. Okay, you all can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are some numbers mentioned here in the right side, right? So go through these tools in the right side and tell me which tool I can use to make this text look dark, the letter A. Correct. Apart from that, you can see like a small effect is given for the text, right? You can do that text effect using tool number 15. So tool number 15 is called text effect. Do I have text effect here? I don't think I have text effect here. The tool method might be different. I don't have text effect. If I go for older versions of Word, I might find I have to double check. This is the online version, no? It's a bit different. So that is done using text effect. I should have text effect here actually. Text effect, text effect, text effect. I'll check later. Okay, so that is done using actually tool number 15. Okay, this change you can see here is done using tool 15. Using tool 15, it will make the text bold as well. So actually A is using 15 only, okay? To be very precise, it's using 15 only, but you can mention that it should be using 15 as well as A as well, but mainly it's using 15, but it's using one as well. I mean, you can mention one, but mainly it's using 15, okay? Next, if you look at letter text B, okay, for text B, you can see, okay, for text B and C, if I see here, one thing I can notice is this paragraph has done alignment. Apart from alignment, the font style also has changed. Are we allowed to use font style as a tool? No, we can't use font style as a tool. As a font alignment change, yes. I think they're taking B and C as two different alignments. Yeah, I think they're taking B and C as two different alignments, but technically this both is one alignment. Anyways, if I take B as one alignment, which alignment is it suitable? 6, 7, 8, or 9? Normally, if you put justify alignment, the last line will be left align automatically. Anyways, B is representing what? Perfect. B is representing, you can see in B, it's touching the equal space from right margin, equal space from left margin. So if you have equal from left margin and right margin, it's what type of alignment? If the no, see, letter B is equal from left, equal from right. So if it's equal both the sides, what type of alignment I told that is? Perfect. That's justify alignment. So out of 6, 7, 8, and 9, which one is representing the justify alignment? Correct. It's the number 9. If I take C as a normal, again, I think this they are made for just for your representation, but this is how not not the normal way of how it is. If you look at the letter C, you can see letter C, I think they have mentioned for the text being in the left side corner. So for letter C, what can we mention that as? Letter C, we can mention that as left alignment, which is a tool number 6. Then, if you look at letter D is talking about these bullet points. So out of the tools we are on the right side, which one can we use to make bullet points? Why, Hannah? Correct. To get bullet points, we use it tool number 4. Then letter A, B, C, D, E. These people are making it stupid. So let's say F is representing that, okay. H is representing that, okay. Then where I is like a plain white space. Let's say E is representing that also, okay. What is I? I is like a plain. Ah, okay. Let's say I is representing this. Okay, let's say the line is put dark small. I is representing this. Then okay. And uh put dark, yeah. It's an angle paper, I think. No, these papers they translate, no. So when they translate, that issue happens. And then one more thing I want to double check. That is the page number 2. Yeah, okay. So I'll this is J. I'm just forming connections to see if there are any mistakes here. I'm trying to find what is G now. G doesn't make sense. Or the printing is not proper. I found out all the letters up to apart from G. Maybe they meant the event details. No, no, for C I found out the remaining ones. The remaining yeah, correct. Maybe for C they mentioned the remaining details of area. Python these people when they're making the paper. Exactly, they had understand. Um, so I feel like I is representing the underline and C is represent. Let's say this. J is representing the inserting picture. H is representing the text being slanted. F is representing the numberings, and IE is representing the table. G is representing. Is it bold, italic, underline? No. Is it bullet numbering? No. Is it a table? No. Is it a picture? Picture? No. Is it a shape? No. Is it a table? No. Is it text effect? No. Is it link? Please contact the what? What? I can't form a connection for G depending on the labeled numbers. So I'll just ignore the G for now. Okay. Anyways, so depending on the values, now let's go for the remaining ones. If you look at the letter E, C, D, we are done with letter E. E is representing a table. Okay. Now, out of these tools here, I told you what the top tools are. I'll introduce you for the bottom tools. Okay. Amri, it can be line spacing, but they have not allowed us to use line spacing here. See, the number in line spacing tool is this. So they have not given a number for line spacing. So you have to form a connection between the numbers and the values. Make sense? This is a translated paper, and you all will not get translated paper like this. Anyways, to insert table, we have the tool 10. I'll show you how it looks in Word. Give me a moment. This is to insert picture, and this is to insert picture from your device. That means if you have a picture stored on your computer to use it. If you want to get a picture from online, then we have this. So you can go and search pictures. I'll show you both. This is to insert shapes. And tool number 14 looks like cell merge. Okay. I found out G. G is representing this. In here, if you notice, they have connected both these cells together. This is one cell, the another cell. Both these cells are joined together. Okay, found it. This is called cell merge at last. This is called text effect. And this is called links or else hyperlink. So for example, in a spreadsheet software, if you want to create tables, you can go for insert option and you can see a table icon here, right? So from here, you can specify how many columns, how many rows you want, and you can create your table. Okay, that's insert table. And then inside the insert table, you can actually merge cells. So these are cells. Okay. Exactly. Right. So if you click on these letters together, if you click on multiple cells together, you can merge cells together. Okay. So to merge cells, you can go for table layout. In table layout, you can see the option here called merge. See? So when you click on this word called merge, see all these cells are joining together. So they're called merge cells, which I had here. Right. So if I again want to break it, there's an option called split here. So if I go and click on split, the merge cell will come back to normal. And apart from that, we have the insert picture. So insert picture, you have two options. Okay, here it's only one option. In the older version of Word, you will have two options. One is to insert from this device. Here it's mentioned here, this device. And one is for search on the website. So if I click on this device, I can get a picture from my computer. Something like, let's say, I'll take this. So this is a picture I got from the computer. But if I want to get a picture from online, then I can go and click on insert picture, search on the website, and I can go and search pictures. Let me take one of your pictures. Is there any of your on your picture is there? I found your picture. See? Yes, absolute cinema. So you can get pictures from online as well. Unable to insert picture. What the hell? You can't even insert your picture. Your face is so ugly, I guess. So Google isn't allowing you to take your picture. Okay, I found another picture of your. See, your photo is here. Anyways, so what do you call if you take E is representing table to create a table, we use a tool number 10. No, Rishma, I'm not a human. I'm a alien, man. I wasn't born like this. If you want to see how I was when I was small, this is how I was when I was small. This when I was a kid, 34, 35 years back, I was like this, you know. Yeah. Mm. So then 15 years back, so what do you call, sorry, 35 years I was like that. Then I did some transitions. Yourself. No, actually, my age is 55. So I reduced the time I was sleeping. So there was a time period of around 15 years. Yeah, around 15 years, I was like 15, 20 years I was sleeping. So yeah, in a cave, I was sleeping. So I did not include that time period where I was sleeping. So yeah, I was in coma for 15, 20 years. So I reduced that 15, 20 years and I was saying, to be honest. Yeah, I was actually, it's not coma actually, it was sleep. Like, it's a nice deep sleep, 15 years of sleep. Correct. Okay, then label F. Label F is represented in numberings. So tell me what is the tool I can use for numbering? Number? Correct. For numbering, I can use the tool number 5. And then tool H is representing this, the 9 to 12. The text is slanted. Okay, guys, now stop. For the text to look slanted, what should we use? Which tool? Yes, no, no. The real life sleeping beauty. Tool number. For italic, give me the tool number. That's all lies, father. To make it look slanted, we use a tool number. What? The italic tool is tool number. Perfect. Tool number 2. And then I is talking about the line below the text. So if you want to make the line below the text, basically underline. For underline, what is the tool we have? Perfect. We have the tool number 3, Hij. And J is talking about inserting picture. So let's say we are going to insert a picture from the device. So if you're going to insert a picture from the device, perfect. Inserting picture from the device, it's 11. Online, it's 12. So let's say it's 11 really for now. Then for Hif, I missed G actually. So G is talking about this part. We are merging two cells together in a table. So merging two cells together, that's going to be tool what? Number? Perfect. That's going to be tool 40. So here the marks is actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. No? And so half marks each. And here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And here 1 mark each. So first question, 1 mark each. That's 5 marks there. Here half marks each. That's 5 marks there. Total 10 marks there. If you did this question, you can let me know your marks. Anyways, that's the questions for this paper. And yeah, successfully we have finished this paper. At last. I was scared. Will I finish the paper? Will I finish the paper? Will I finish the paper? And I was reducing as much as bullshit possible. I thought the safe side. Anyways, with that, we're done for the day. Surprisingly, we finished 7 minutes early, which never happens in my class. But anyways, it's not the first day, no, it's the day two of the seminar. Anyways, those who have any questions that can stay and ask, others they can leave. We're done for the day. Okay, I sent it today. I'll check for my other numbers and that's right. Yes, mashallah, tamai. Jai Alfan. You'll update your head now. You're welcome. Bye bye. By the way, make sure all of you are there in the channel because the channel is a place where I normally share all the resources. So, what do you call? If you're not there in the channel, I'll just reshare the channel link. I'll be sharing the recording and paper, all the stuff's there. So make sure they're there. Okay. No, I mean, no. We finished project. Like we have just one small portion number. We'll be finishing it probably coming Monday. I only play. I mean, I don't watch. Welcome, Father. You're looking happy since you finished it early. Not finished, finished it early. I'm happy that I was able to finish it. Like I was the whole time I was scared, will I be able to finish it before 10? Will I be able to finish the paper before 10? Will I be able to finish the paper before 10? That was the whole thing running in my mind. It's like power on this pull. They're having exams also. Already I'm dragging for day two. I don't want to drag it more. That was running in the whole head this whole time. So, yeah. So it's not the happiness of finishing early, it's the happiness of finishing. That's a magical power, Suraya. Oh, understandable. Anyways, we're done for the day. If you have any questions related to the what paper, you can let me know. Exactly, huh? That was the plan. That was a backup plan, technically. Okay, as you all did not have any questions related to the paper, I'm going in the meeting. Have a nice day. Bye bye. I'll be sharing it in the channel, Michigan, so just check the channel. Okay.